Hey guys, Ace here.
And this is Yash. Today we are going to be starting with the second episode of our series, the Developer Diaries.
In this episode, we are going to be focusing on one of the most widely interacted field, which is 3D modeling.
Over to our developers, who are going to be showing us some amazing tutorials over modeling along with some helpful tips and tricks.
Hey guys, my name is Hriday and I'm a graphics artist and a 3D modeler. Today I'm going to be showing you how to model simulator pets in Blender. So first off, you might be wondering, why do we need pets in a simulator game? So these pets, they act as multipliers for the coins or gems or whatever you earn in the game. The more you play the game, the more coins you get. From that you buy better pets which further improve your performance, and this helps you get on the leaderboard and become one of the top players on the game. So now there are many ways to make pets. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a blocky version or blocky style of pets. This style of pets became very common after the release of the game Pet Simulator X, and this is one of the easiest styles of pets to make. So first off you need to make a base for yourself. This is the base I'm going to be using. Your base can doesn't have to be similar to this. It can be whatever you prefer, but I like this one, so I'll be going with it. So here are the pets we are gonna make today. We have a ninja pet, a sandwich pet, a birthday cake pet, the sneaky knife pet, the television one, spider, dragon, bear, angel, and angelus. So first off, we'll start with the ninja pet. For that, you have to take your base, select it, and just get close to it first. Now add a cube, then scale it up a bit and scale it on the z axis. Delete the top and the bottom faces, those won't be necessary. Now just bring it down and scale it according to the body. Once you're done with that, you can just check wherever it's clipping, you could just adjust it according to your base. Then now go to the vertex mode and just bring it down at some places. This step is completely your choice, you don't have to do it compulsorily, but I like to do it. Then I'll just scale it a bit on the y-axis. Right, next we're gonna add the side parts. For that I'll be using a cube again. Now we're gonna scale it on the y-axis, make it real thin. Now S and Z. Now go to edit mode and go to the X-ray mode. You could click this or you could press Alt Z. Then select these two and scale them on the Z axis a bit. Now you can rotate this and bring it here. Now just duplicate it again by Shift D and bring it down. So just like that, you have your first pet. You can adjust the stuff as needed. That all is your choice. So that's your first pet. You could also add a solidify modifier to this, otherwise the inner faces won't be visible in Roblox Studio. So I'll just do that real quick, increase the thickness a bit. And there we have it, that's the first pet. Now we are going to be reusing the same base for all of them. So just delete all the extra stuff you made and just start again. So now we are going to be making the sandwiched pet, and you can have any ears or tail you want. Basically it can be any animal or a normal pet. So right now I'll be doing a cat. So first insert a cylinder and make it 8 vertices instead of 32. Bring it up RX 90 so that you can see the front view. Now just go to the X-ray mode and adjust the vertices as needed. and go to the back face, select it, and then click M and merge it at center. Now press 3 on your number pad if you have one, or you could click this icon, it will bring you on the side view. Take this vertex and move it a bit down. There we go, we have a cat here ready. Origin to center of mass. And once you're done with it, rotate it a bit and add it to your pet. Scale it as needed. You could do that after you have done making the model. Put it on one side of the pet, then use the mirror modifier. Then select the cube or the base of your pet and then put it on the Y axis. Once you're done, you could just make some few extra adjustments. Once you're done with that, we'll move to the tail. Now press 3 on your number pad or click this button. Add a cube, scale it down, bring it here. Now drag this part to hold X or Y and drag this. Now select the first four vertices and then scale it down a bit. You could rotate this and then bring this a bit out. Now press E, it will extrude the all the 4 vertices, then scale it up a bit and you can just rotate this a bit. And there we go, our cat pet is ready. Let's just scale the ears a bit. So now once we have a cat pet, we'll have to make the bread. So first we'll take a cube, bring it up, scale it along the Y axis by pressing S and Y. Now select all the edges, the side ones, by pressing 2 and then selecting them manually. Then select all of them by holding shift and then press Ctrl B. These will bevel the edges, giving them breaking them into 2. Then rotate them on the Z axis and make them a bit thinner. Then you can just bring them on the side of the pet. Once you do that, just scale them as needed and then mirror it on the other side by clicking the mirror modifier and then selecting the base. Now select Y and then apply it. Once you're done with that, here we go, we are done with our second pet. Duplicate it and move it to the side. Now delete all the extra stuff you added. Now we'll move on to the birthday cake one. For that, we'll add a cylinder. You can make this 16 now. Drag it up. This isn't necessary, but this makes the pet look a lot better. So always, or usually, suppose you have a cylinder, right click and enable shade smooth, then go to your object data properties. You'll see normals, enable auto smooth over there. Once you're done with that, it'll make the edges look a lot more smoother compared to before. So once you're done with that, just scale the candle a bit more. Then on the top face, select it by pressing 3 and then the face. E, S to scale it down. E again. Oh wait, let's scale it a bit more. Then E again, and this is gonna be the wick of the candle. Let's make our candle a bit bigger. Now scale the entire thing down, rotate it a bit, put it in the middle of our pet base, and there we go, we have a birthday cake pet. Duplicate it again and move it to the side. Next we will be doing the knife pet. So first select the base. For this one we'll be changing the base a bit, so just select it and make another copy. Now select the legs of this one and go into edit mode. Now press 7 to go into the top view and just select one of the legs. Then press 3 to go into side view. rotate it and bring it up out. Then just adjust it as needed. Let me just do that real quick. Right now, once you're done with that, you could start modeling the knife. For that, you could take any reference from Google if you want, or you could just free model it. So right now, I'll just be free modeling the knife. Now, here's a handle, E and S. We only want to scale on the X axis, so we'll press X. Now grab our face and move it to the end of here. Now once you're done with that, extrude it to the top. Then E, once you reach a height, extrude and then bring the inner vertices to the inside again. Extrude again, then do the same thing for a few times. Till you reach a point. Once you reach a point, just merge them at center. Now scale it on the y-axis a bit so it's very thin. Now you could separate the handle from the main blade of the knife by pressing P, then separate by selection. Now S and X, and then select the top 4 vertices and press F to fill the face. And now our knife is done. So now we just have to take it and rotate it on the Z axis once by pressing RZ and 90. Now press 3 on the number pad, scale it down a bit, and put it in the hand of the pet we made right now. Once you're done with that, just grab the entire thing and move it to the side. Now we will be modeling the television one. Again, we will be changing the base a bit, so you could duplicate it and move it to the side. Now take the leg, just delete the legs, you won't be needing that. Take the front 4 faces, then press E and S. Now press E again, move it to the inside. Go into the front view, scale it down a bit. This is the simple one, but you could add a lot more stuff to it. Select the bottom faces, E and S, and then extrude again, and you could scale this down a bit as well. Now you could go to the mesh and add a cube, bring it up, scale it on the Z axis till it's pretty thin. Now select the edges, 1, 2, 3 and 4. These 4 edges, select them, then do Ctrl B to bevel them. Now select the top 2 faces, top and bottom faces, and press I to insert them. Now you can press F3 and then bridge edge loops. Once you do that, you'll have something like this. Now you could take it to your television bed, then you could scale it a bit. Now once you have it on the bottom of your main pet, you could just duplicate it and scale it. It makes it look a lot better in general. You can have as many of the rings as you want, but I prefer to keep 4. Once you're done with that, just bring it to the side again. Now we will be modeling the spider pet. So for that, first we just need to make one of the legs, and then we'll just duplicate it multiple times. So first add a cube and then go to X-ray mode. Then select the right side of the pet, move it a bit on the X-axis and scale it up. Now extrude it, rotate it and bring it down. To adjust it, you could just select these and bring it here a bit. Select these ones, bring it here, and bring these down a bit. S and Y to make it a bit thin. And select these and make it a bit thick on the y-axis, and then the entire thing. Alright, so once you're done with the leg, just bring it down. Scale it on the y-axis more if needed. Now we'll be using the mirror modifier again, selecting the leg mirror, and then we select the pet base. We'll be doing y-axis again and then just duplicate it a few times and move it on the y-axis. Now if there's a lot of space, you could scale the legs a bit more and move it to the inside, and then you can just adjust the legs a bit and rotate it if you want to give a more realistic effect. On a bit outside. Now once you're done with that, you could just duplicate it and drag it to the side. Make sure to delete the legs because the things we made, those are the legs for the spider. Let's just move this towards the side. Now we'll be moving on to the dragon pet. So first add a plane, drag it up. Now go into edit mode and press 1 to go into vertices mode. Then do M and merge at center. Now this part is pretty random, but you could take a reference from Google, or you could do it freehand. So for the wings, you have to just extrude, then like you could rotate it a bit if needed. Then again, this part is all up to you. Now once you make a design, you have to merge the last two vertices. Select all of them and press F. This one is a pretty simple wing. Here's a relatively complicated wing I made. So here's the one we'll be using right now. Scale it a bit on the y-axis. Make sure to delete these legs. Now just extrude it. Then once you're done with that, add a loop cut in the center and scale it. So it will give a 3D effect to the wing and scale it on the y-axis. Now take the wing, add a mirror modifier and put the object as cube or a pet base. Now make it on the y-axis and scale it down. Now for the horns, we'll take a cube. Now go into edit mode, scale the top, bring it here. Now extrude, rotate here and scale it a bit. Now extrude again. This time we're going to merge it at center and bring it on the other side. This face is a bit big, you could make it a bit smaller. Now once you're done with that, you can rotate it a bit, bring it down. Now scale it as needed for the pet. Now use the mirror modifier again and select the cube. Now once you're done with that, go into the side view by pressing 3. Rotate it a bit. Select the bottom ones and just drag it into the pet so that the horns are not floating in the air. Now go into the side view, and for the tail now we'll use a cube. Scale it and bring it to the end. Now take the last set of vertices, rotate it and bring it a bit up. You could scale it first, and again extrude, scale, bring it up, rotate it. Extrude, scale, bring it up, rotate it. Now extrude, this time scale it outwards. Now extrude again and merge it at center. And once you're done with that, you have your dragon tail. Now just duplicate this and bring it to the side. delete the extra stuff, and now we'll move on to the next pet, which is a bear. So this one is pretty simple. All you have to do is add a cylinder. You could have 8 vertices here, 8, 10, whatever you want. I prefer to have 8. Now bring it up, scale it on the y-axis. Now bring it to the side, adjust it on the tip of the pet's face, rotate it as needed. Now once you're done with that, use the mirror modifier, select the pet, the cube, then make it y-axis. Now again you can scale it as needed, and these ones, if you want, you can scale them a bit on the x-axis to give them a less rounded look. Now once you're done with that, add a cube for the tail. This one's pretty simple. Add a cube, scale it up, go to the side views, scale the cube down, S and Y, G and Y, and then scale this a bit inward and drag it down. Once you're done with that, there you go, you have your bear ready. Now duplicate it and move it to the side. Now we'll move on to the angel pet. This one is pretty much free modeling or using references as well. These are the wings I made earlier for this. So right now I'll just make a simple version of these by doing the same method we did for the dragon. Add a plane, bring it up, go into the vertices mode, M at center, then extrude, just extrude it however you want. And once you're done with that, just bring it out again. You could bring this one a bit here, same with this one. Now join these by pressing J, or by pressing F, sorry, and then fill the entire thing. Now extrude it. You could go into the side view and bevel all the edges by pressing 2 and then selecting them. This will give it a more rounded look and make it look a bit sharper. Now again we'll add a loop cut to the center and then scale it a bit. Scale it along the y-axis and we have a wig ready. It's smooth and you could turn on auto smooth. Now once you are done with that, you will go into the modifiers and mirror. Select the cube again and go on the y-axis. Scale it down, bring it here. Now once you're done with that, for the halo or the ring type thing on the top, you just add a torus and then go into the top view and press Alt Z to see the X-ray. Now you could make this a bit thinner. This is all according to you, and make this a bit bigger. Now once you're done with that, select your torus, bring it up, enable shade smooth and then turn on auto smooth. Now once you're done with that, you could rotate it a bit and put it on top of your pet, and there you go, you have your angel pet ready. Just move them to the side a bit. Now we'll move on to the Angelus Pet. This one is one of the most this one is the most complicated one out of the set we made today, but I could tell you some tricks to do it. So once you're done with this, go into your modifiers and apply the modifier by pressing Ctrl A. Now press tab, select one side of the wing, and then press R, X, and then 180. This will flip the entire wing. Once you're done with that, just delete the legs and right click and set origin to center of mass. Now Shift D, R, 90. So this will make us have those 4 wings like in the pet I showed. Let me just bring it here real quick. So this is the exact same thing I've done for this pet. And now for the ring type things on the side, the semicircles, you could use a circle, bring it up, scale. Now press tab and extrude the vertices. Now press RX and 90. You can't see anything right now because we're on the exact base. You could add a solidify modifier to it. Pardon my mistake. Once you're done with that, just increase it a bit. Now go into the edit mode and then delete all these vertices. Once you're done with that, you apply the solidify modifier, turn on shade smooth and then auto smooth. Then press RX, RZ and 90. Press R again and rotate it a bit. Bring it here. Now go into the mirror modifier, select the cube again, press Y and then press Z. So this will bring it close to the model base, and then you could just scale it as needed and bring it closer. And once you're done with that, just apply it. You could make some tweaks if needed, like bring this up a bit. Then that's it, you're done with all the pets now. You could just move it to the side, and for importing, that's a pretty simple process. You could just search it up on YouTube, and well, there you go, you have all the pets made. Now there are many pets you can make, but these are just some of the simple ones. I've made a lot of pets in the past. Here are just some of them. Here, here, here. And then here are some anime pets I made for a friend of mine. So if there's any specific pet you want me to make, you could always hit me up on Discord or Twitter. All the links will be in the bio. And that's it for today. Thank you guys.
Hello everyone, this is Viewported, and I'm going to be running you through some of the basic steps of how I model vehicles in Blender. So the first thing you'll want to do is try to look up references of whatever kind of car you're going to model. Real life references, vector blueprints are usually what you're going to want to go for. It's best to have a majority of both of these types, and we're going to be setting up vector or blueprint images in this tutorial. So first thing I'm going to do is set up the blueprint images. So I went ahead and downloaded this one, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to position all the images to kind of line up at the wheelbase, because this is a pretty easy area to line up images. I've done this like a dozen times. So. And now we're going to delete the cube except for one vertice, turn on the mirror modifier and subdivision surface modifier. What this will let us do is basically start modeling the details and outlines, like around the headlights and even just to like the whole entire side of a vehicle. We're just going to model with only vertices right now and try not to fill up any faces at all during this stage. This is really just kind of like, you know, just outlining. It's as if you're tracing over something, really. But instead of actually using like a pencil or something, you're just using basically just vertices. So right now I'm going over like the windows, all sorts of things basically. Anything that stands out on the blueprint image, I'm just going ahead and just basically tracing over it. And then I'm also adding loop cuts near the edges of it to kind of get those edges sharper. And anywhere where I see another loop cut and there's a part where there isn't one, I'm going ahead and adding one just so I can get the consistent geometry for getting the nice topology up once I do start filling in the faces, which so far seems to be working pretty well, as you can see. Unfortunately, this car is not as detailed as all the other cars I've modeled before, and the vector image doesn't have a lot of details for me to make and go over. So I will be showing some other models that I made previously, and I'll be showing what exactly I did to kind of like model and stuff for those ones. And then I decided to do some more work on the roof again. Basically, I decided to save myself the hassle by going ahead and adding some geometry up here, which would make it a lot easier to go in and fill in once I start filling in faces. And as you can see, I'm also trying to keep the geometry and topology and stuff. Basically, I'm trying to keep it as much of a grid and as of like a straight line, just trying to get the flow of the geometry staying the same. And it seems to be going pretty good so far. Alright, this pretty much looks good. So now what I'm doing is I am adding some creasing and marking sharp of all the faces before I go ahead and start filling in faces, which is exactly what you need to do before you do all this stuff. So that way those hard edges that you want to stay hard are going to stay like that, which is going to make it a lot easier later in the model when you don't know which face should and shouldn't have a sharp edge to it. So basically, a lot of this stage is just going to be adding in geometry in some areas where I didn't quite reach. Like right here, I'm adding in a whole entire segment because I didn't do this part earlier, which is okay because at this stage, I can still do the last step, like some stuff where I need to fill in like vertices and stuff before filling it in. That's fine. Like if you need to backtrack a little. And right now, see, I'm kind of like trying to get some more of the like geometry to kind of just flow by adding in more loop cuts there. And now I'm adding in more geometry yet again because I didn't do this part at all. Basically just keep doing the same thing. And now right here I am making sure all the vertices and geometry in the middle is no longer marked sharp or creased, just in case there are any issues with the mesh that was going on. And as you're modeling and filling in faces, make sure to be selecting the whole thing, all N, and recalculating normals outside, so that way if you see any like weird issues with the geometry, it's probably because the subdivision surface doesn't know what to do when you have two normals that are facing the other way. And also make sure to keep shading smooth every now and then of every single part of the geometry, just to make sure that everything's looking exactly how you want it to look. As you can see here, I kind of just fill in geometry, and at some parts I might make an n-gon and then just go ahead and like press J to connect some vertices and areas up. And right now I'm actually almost done with this whole entire top segment of it. See, I'm doing this one window pane. It's a little bit of a curved one. And so now I'm back onto the front. And so, see, I see this line here and I didn't touch on this at all. So now I am going ahead and just vertex modeling this whole entire part again. And see, I'm trying to keep the geometry as, it just needs to match whatever kind of like other like vertices are next to it, just to make sure everything just doesn't have any sort of n-gons or triangles where it shouldn't, stuff like that. Just try to keep up having quads everywhere. Here it is again right here. See, I'm adding a bunch more loop cuts into those vertices just to try and match the other faces nearby. And now that I've successfully made all this geometry as consistent as possible, I can just now fill it all in right like that. And then if there's anything that just seems a little weird, I might just, see like right here, all this geometry just needs to be a little bit more sharp, and that seems to have worked. I changed the auto smooth to 55. I almost always work with auto smooth of 55. It really lets me get my angles exactly how I need them to be in all my models, and it's a pretty good angle to work at. Right here, the topology just gets a little whack, but it's not gonna be really that big of an issue at this point because that whole entire side is gonna be flat, and I'm not gonna really need a really good topology for that, so I'm not too worried. Same thing with right here, but I will try my best to keep the topology as best as it can be, which I think I'm doing a pretty good job right there. So here I'm not quite sure how exactly I should fill this in. So first I just created an n-gon, and then I started connecting those bottom parts, and then everything else just kind of fell together in place like a bunch of puzzle pieces. And yeah, that was the entire back part right there. It was just that simple. And then I'm going to add in details later, especially to the front. You see it kind of looks a little flat right now. Everything is just going to look weird at first, but eventually, well, once you get your rhythm going, your whole entire model will just fall into place. Oftentimes, car vector images will have some lines that just don't look like they're contributing much to the mesh. Like right there, I just removed 3 ones that were marked sharp. It's usually because maybe they're like a different part of the car, like who knows, maybe it's a fender or a hood or something, and that line's just there to show that it's a separate piece. But usually when I model cars, it's always in one piece, so I usually just remove that, and it keeps the actual model looking pretty smooth and pretty good looking. So now that I'm pretty satisfied with how this base mesh kind of looks, I'm gonna just go ahead and select all these windows, try something. I decided not to, so instead I went ahead and set up some materials. I changed the viewport shading of them, so that way I could kind of get a better idea of what this car is going to look like when it's finished. And it's a really good idea to work with viewport display colors like this. That way you'll actually know what part is what. So like, if it was hard to see a window or something, then this should make it a lot easier to see it. If there's supposed to be a stripe and you couldn't quite see it, this is a pretty good tool. And then right here I'm also just modeling some back accessories that I noticed on the reference image, and now I'm going to go on and make the headlight. So this headlight, you can kind of see it looks like straight on from one angle, so I'm going to go ahead and start beveling a cylinder. Auto smooth at 55. See, look, it's kind of like sideways, so I rotated it and then did a bit of shearing. Didn't quite get it the first time, sheared it again, and then did some shearing on the other axes and managed to get it. And I duplicated it, moved it up a little, added a little bit more shearing, and then that managed to get the exact look I was going for. Added some viewport display colors, and that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and start making the wheels, which aren't going to be too complex this one, but I am going to go and just bevel these sides, get them, have a little bit of like edging to it. I already know what the creasing looks like after it's done, so I added that before doing a subdivision surface modifier, and it turned out exactly how I thought it would. So I'm going to go ahead and add some viewport display colors yet again, which makes it a lot easier. If you're going to export this into something like Roblox, for example, which this car does get exported into Roblox, I am like during this whole entire modeling, I am adding viewport colors as I'm doing it. So that's a really helpful tool. And now I'm going on and making the bumper. So this bumper is it's not going to be too complex or anything, but there is a bit of like kind of like a gradient in the middle I want to try and go for real quick. So see, what I'm going to go for is just do that, mark these sharp and move those in. This creates a bit of kind of like a little bit of like a grilling effect, and in the back I'll mark those sharp just to have that kind of like flat bumper to it. That seems pretty good for the bottom part, and now I'm going to start doing this little kind of like extension part of it. It's not going to have to be like too crazy or anything. Might do a little bit of shearing and stuff. Shearing is a really useful tool, and it helps you kind of like rotate stuff without rotating it a lot on like a specific axis. Just so, like with the headlights, I did that to make sure it stayed looking the same on the front, but from the side it was kind of offset a little. So now I'm making this other kind of pillar, doing the same kind of gradient effect I did for the bumper, except I used the inset to kind of do it a little bit easier. And there we go. Now I'm going to shear that, give more edging. And now the back bumper is almost exactly the same, but I am just going to model it again, just because I don't want it to look like, like a carbon copy of the front bumper. I want it to be, a little bit different. It just can't be like the same exact thing. So see, I'm kind of like modeling the same way again. Might add in another loop cut right there to get the same look that the front bumper had, which turned out pretty good. And now, since I'm lazy, I'm going to take some stuff from the front bumper, because the front bumper had some accessories that looked almost identical. Just needs to be a little bit like reshaped into like right here. This is not too different from the front bumper, it's just a little bit more angular. So now I just had to make it a little more flat. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take the pillar, and it almost fits. I might have to do a bit of like different shearing, and now that worked, it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to do, I think I'm doing like the rear lights now. So I'm going to use the, okay, so there's a tool that lets you lock onto grid, and you can snap it to object vertices, which is really useful for if you're making like a wheelbase and you want to get it perfectly symmetrical. You can use that to your advantage, and then connect up the vertices. And so now I'm doing some more, like the like what I did with the wheels, did some creasing. So that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to go ahead and set up some basic materials just to get a look for it. And now I'm thinking there's like nothing going on with the side of it, so I'm just going to duplicate it and just take off part of the van. And now I'm going to try and model this air vent real quick. And so the whole entire back part can just stay flat, but I want to get a little bit more edging on the front. And so now I'm going to try and get the vent cover right here. So I'm going to model one little piece of it, model the back part just in case it's not clipping through enough. And now I don't know exactly how to do this part, and then what I did that actually worked was I used the grid locking thing, and so that made a perfect, like I could have also used the array modifier possibly, but this method worked, well, it worked just as well, or maybe even better. And now I'm just kind of like realigning everything, making sure it's pretty consistent. And now I'm going to see if there's anything else I need to touch up, like the roof maybe. Just doesn't quite look finished, you know. I might put like a little bit more like beveling or something. And now I'm gonna make the bottom, which is gonna be really simple because the game that this is going into doesn't really need much of like a bottom to it, so I'm not gonna be too worried about modeling that. But I am gonna go ahead and model some separate pieces for like this bottom area. In my opinion, when I finished making this whole entire bottom chunk, it didn't turn out quite exactly how I was expecting. I didn't really like how it turned out, but the person who received this model liked the whole thing anyway, so. See, this part looks fine, but I couldn't quite, like I tried smoothing it right here, and that kind of just like ruined it in my opinion. But it didn't really matter because, you know, no one's really going to see this like bottom part of the car in a game. Like that's what you have to think about. What parts of the vehicle are people going to see in your game? Like, are they going to, like, is their car going to flip over? Are they going to see the bottom or something? And so obviously I tried connecting these parts, and it just didn't quite work too well. Had to fix up some n-gons and stuff, work in x-ray mode a lot to try and see exactly what I'm doing. It didn't turn out too terrible, but you know, I'm just not quite fond of it. Then I eventually managed to get it to go out more. I made it go a little bit more further front, and that worked pretty well. And so by this point, the car is pretty much done in this state, so I'm going to continue working on it and I'll get back to you. So as you can see, I've pretty much finished modeling this, added a lot more details like a door handle. I got the bottom to look pretty good, and after doing some weighted normals with a modifier, as you can see, it fixed up some weirdness that was going on for the bottom. And honestly, adding the weighted normal modifier can fix a lot of your problems if your mesh doesn't look good. See, it's even more noticeable right there, yeah. Added some more stuff like window wipers, or a bit of like a Roblox logo, because, you know, it's a Roblox game. And as you can see, there's a few issues I haven't fixed yet, like some things have their normals inverted, which I'm now going to go ahead and fix by recalculating them outside. See, it already looks much better. And now I'm going to also do that for the windshield wipers for right now. And as you can see, there's like a little bit of like a box on top, just as like narrow detail. So yeah, that's the finished van. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled up one of my recent projects, which was rigging a off-road truck. And as you can see, this one has a lot more detailing to it in a way. Like there's a whole entire like exhaust pipes, because this is more of like a personal project. And I'm gonna run you through some of the basic stuff that I did for this car. So as you can see, I use a lot of edge creasing and marking sharp. So if we were to remove the edge creasing, not add it, remove it, it would look, yeah, see, a lot different. It looks a little more round and not as, you know, sharp edges and stuff. But it still has that sharp to it because it's marked sharp. So if I remove that, it would look like this. See, it just kind of looks soft and just doesn't look exactly how I'm going for. And so with combination of marking sharp and edge creasing, you can get some pretty cool looks on your models. Like right here on like for the grills and stuff, I managed to not like really inset. You could inset and probably do something like this, but as you can see, I managed to get these faces to move in, and that basically added more of like a tiling-ish effect to it. And for the headlights, I do this with a lot of my headlight models. Actually, let me unlock view real quick. Okay, so now that I removed all the like landscape stuff right now, as you can see, this is what the headlights look like. Here, let me actually lock to view. Basically, I managed to get this little line to appear by marking sharp. I've done this with a lot of low poly vehicles in the past. Like if it's a low poly dune buggy or something and needs like some rally lights, I would do this. It adds a lot more like stylizing to your vehicle. As you can see, the wheels are pretty basic. Let me turn on the materials real quick so you can see what this looks like. Okay, so what I also did was a lot of this stuff was modeled with this thing called NURBS curves, which basically it makes it a lot easier to do a lot of like cylinder-ish kind of modeling. See, all this stuff is just basically a NURBS curve. And this up here was also a bunch of NURBS curves, and then what I did is I went into sculpting. Let me navigate on over. I did Shift R, which Shift R brings up this little doohickey for remeshing, and then when you have a good resolution of whatever kind of size you want for the remesh, you can press Control R, and as you can see, it remeshed it. You just need to now you just need to shade smooth, and there we go. It basically combined all of the pieces of kind of like steel and kind of like basically smelted them all together and made a nice like truss-ish shape, which looks pretty good. Alright everyone, that's a basic rundown of how I model vehicles. I could go more in depth, but it would be a lot longer and hard for me to explain. I'll be posting updates on my vehicle models and rigs in Ace Events Discord server, and I'll also occasionally post about it on Twitter. I also have plans to stream some more Blender modeling and rigging content in the future. You can check it out on my YouTube channel if you're interested. With that being said, thanks for tuning in.
Hey guys, welcome back to another event, the Developer Diaries modeling. I'm Exotic Dev 66. I'm a GFX artist, and today in this event I'll be teaching you how to make stylized wooden planks. Now the low poly style. Let me show you. Like this, I'll be sculpting this in Blender. So yeah, let's get started. I'll be using the default cube. I'll be scaling it down and stuff to make it look like uh like a wooden plank. Okay, done. Now let's subdivide this cube so that we can sculpt it better. Now select the cube. On the right hand side, select object data properties, and under remesh category, change the mode to voxel, and change the voxel size to 0.009, and click on voxel remesh. Now in this point, some of you might be having some issue. Your PC might be lagging. So here's a tip: increase the voxel size. So smaller the number, it's gonna subdivide more, and larger the number, it's gonna subdivide less. Let me show you. In the edit mode, as you can see, it has subdivided my cube or wooden plank. Okay, let's go to sculpt mode and let's start sculpting. Change your brush to scrape, increase the strength, and change the radius of your brush to 40. Let's start with the edges. Now zoom out a bit and start with the edges like this. Just smoothen out the edges a bit. Alright, so the next step is to make some creases, some lines on the wooden plank, just to give it a 3D like effect. Now change the radius of your brush to 20. Zoom out and just make some random lines like on the sides, on the front, and on the bottom, like this. It's okay if it inflates, like a lump over. It's okay. There we go. We have something like okay. So moving on to the next step. Let's make some lines like this. Like as you can see in the like you can see the dark areas like 3D effect. Let's add that. Now change your brush to mask, increase the strength, change the radius to 5, 5 or 10. Okay, make some random lines, not too random, just some random. Just a bit. Alright, now do the same on the bottom as well and on the sides. Now while making these lines, just take your time, don't be in a hurry. I'm doing it really quickly because I'm just demonstrating really fast, just for demonstration purpose. Okay, it's ready. Now moving on to the next step, which is to make these lines more sharper. So click on mask option right here, and it's gonna open a small menu, and click on sharpen mask. It's gonna sharpen the lines over here. Click on it like 5 to 10 times. Okay, so the next step is to increase the contrast. Click on the mask option again and click on increase contrast in the menu. Now click it like 5 to 10 times again. Now these two steps are really important. Alright, so it's done. Oof, lines are gone. Shit. If lines are missed, like if they are missing, just make again. Like if the lines are too thin, it happens. Click on sharpen mask. Okay, that looks good for now. Okay, for demonstration purposes, it's okay. Okay, moving on to the last step. Click on object, press Shift D, and hide the cube that you just duplicated. Go back to sculpt mode and click on mesh filter. Change the filter type to inflate and press on the object and move your cursor up or down. Okay. I think it looks good to me. Okay, let's go back to object mode. As you can see, there are like 3D effect right here. Now let's give it some color. Let's give it a brownish color. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, let's add the cube that we just duplicated earlier and click on this new material option. Once clicked, just make the oh wait, hold on. Click on the duplicated cube, click on new material, and now you can change the color. Just make it darker. Maybe scale it. Alright, so here's our stylized wooden plank. So yeah, I'll be sending this file on A7's Discord server so that you guys can use this. Now you can just make some more variations of this wooden plank and make a scene like this or a house or anything. So yeah, make more variations of this and you're done. So that's it for this event. I'll meet you guys on the next event. Thanks for joining. Peace out.
Thank you so much for attending today's event. It means a lot to us.
Don't forget to check your inbox for a feedback form by Roblox for this event. We will see you soon.
Adios.
Adios.